too often I find myself questioning what kind of person I am, who I've become, and ultimately who I really want to be. It wasn't so long ago that Pam announced her long-awaited psychoanalytical thesis in relation to my apparent personality disorder. Steve, she announced at the end of one of our less heated discussions, you have trust issues. And that was that. Without needing to seek either counselling or therapy, I now had an independent diagnosis. Mind you, I doubt that any professional therapist would have conveyed such a diagnosis and called me a bastard before slamming the door on the way out. Trust issues, eh? Well, if I were to be totally honest, Pam probably wasn't too wide of the mark, even if I was reluctant at that stage to fully embrace the concept. Certainly the person I trusted the least was myself, and with good reason. I must confess to my personal detriment that my unusual clandestine encounter with Natasha was not the first time that I'd cheated on Pam. Irrespective of any one-night stands which I care not to mention, there was one affair of note which lasted a little over 3 months. Candy Kane, which I'm pretty certain was not her real name, was an exotic dancer by trade, although stripper might simplify the definition. Candy was 22 years old, and she had been drawn to the seedier aspects of the Prague nightlife from her hometown of Banov in Romania. At the age of 6, she had witnessed her father's brutal killing at the hands of an intruder who had entered their family home to steal food. Her father's killer was never found, and her mother never overcame the grief of her loss and literally died of a broken heart 10 years later. Candy was now alone, and although her tender years belied the harshness of her personal experiences, she considered that taking her clothes off in front of drunken brain stag parties, that was easy money. Candy turned out to be probably the single most complex and flawed character who I have ever met, even though that shouldn't be considered an achievement. Often we would meet at a shabby apartment which I rented just for sex, while at other times we would just sit and talk. Sometimes we would hold each other and dance slow to imaginary music while the trams rattled and clattered their way past on the street below. To most this might sound like a ridiculous scenario, but personally I felt elevated, like a bird soaring above the city looking down on all far below. It was not an affair which encouraged me to sing in the shower at home, purchase lavish gifts for my lover, or overcompensate in my relationship with Pam. Instead, I literally felt nothing. It would be a long time until I would come to learn Candy's real name, but during those few short months when we shared time together, I had no real interest in finding out. On reflection, I can only surmise that she and I were both looking to find something, to feel something beyond the numbness of our separate, troubled existences. We probably both desired to be appreciated for who we were, to gain some level of acceptance, not from one another, but from ourselves. Together we ultimately never found what we craved, and although neither of us caused the other any pain or anguish, I doubt that either of us looked back on those months with any warmth or yearning for something which could be considered good. Two lost souls swimming around in a fishbowl, destined to be lost forever. It had not taken me long to notice the telltale junkie needle track marks on her arms, and I never f***ed her once without using a condom. I never trusted Candy either.